Hello and welcome, my name's Richard Clark and this is The Healing Way, the video channel I use to explore and work out my ideas and to give people some idea of the development process, where these things come from. On this video I'd like to talk more about fields and their effect on health and the human body, and to, as I say, explore ideas more, go into it deeper. Now, what I was looking at, I'm working on Healing with Energy Step 3. What I'm looking at is what causes, what's behind more serious conditions. I tend to work on long-term chronic conditions in people, but I started to look at more severe conditions, things like multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, motor neuron disease, also cancer, and trying to understand those conditions better, those illnesses better. Now, what I was wondering was my methods, they strip away different layers of problems. They strip out problems from a person. So the first method strips out environmental pollution and problems, and toxic substances in the body that come in from insect bites and various places. So that's a whole layer of problems taken out. Step 2 repairs the energy of the physical aspect of the body, the physical material. So that's another aspect, another layer that's sorted out. And step 3 works on the energy of the body that isn't related to the physical material. Now, what I started to wonder was, is an illness, a severe illness like multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's, made up of all these, it's a combination of all these adverse factors. If all these factors, all these bad conditions in a person, harmful conditions, interact to form one super condition that damages health, there would have to be some variance within this combination of elements, so that you had one combination that produced damage to the myelin sheaths of the nerves, as in MS, that's my understanding of it, layman's understanding I should stress, and another combination within the elements, the factors that come together, the harmful factors that come together, that would lead on to, say, brain damage, Parkinson's disease, and so on. So it's a combination of all these things, and one or two main problems come forward that cause the damage. Is it that? I don't think it is. I wish it was, it would make things a lot easier, but I really don't think it is. Removing all these adverse, harmful conditions is going to improve health, no matter what you've got. You know, no matter what it is, getting all this out is going to improve your health tremendously. I've used it for years, and that's what I know. But will it cure things like MS and Parkinson's and all the rest of it on its own? I don't think so. We've got to look somewhere else. So where do we look? Okay, well, it keeps coming up, fields. It keeps going back to these fields. And by fields, I mean, as I've said in other videos, the electromagnetic field that I use batteries to create this, harness this effect. There's the strong and weak nuclear effect and gravity. All, as far as we know, are fields. And a human being seems to be a concentration or a focusing of these fields. Not just fields, but material elements as well, material substances. So we've got the world we live in, which is a huge concentration of matter, and then within that huge concentration we've got a really focused concentration of matter and energy, which is the human being. So I've been looking at these fields more, deeper. It keeps coming up, fields. It keeps going back to fields. Fields in the human being, acting individually, seem to be the process by which matter is organised. Right? our bodies are in an organised state. Matter is in an organised state, and I believe that is through the action of these fields. Different fields act in different ways, acting individually. The maintenance and the protection of the body, once it's been created, that's the immune system. That's something different. Once this matter has been put together, once it's been organised, the matter's been organised, then the protection of that body is the immune system. Now this, because the body is constantly being renewed through cell division, that means that the field that oversees the organisation of the matter it's a constant process. It doesn't happen once and that's it, the field goes away or it stops working or whatever it is. It is there all the time. So there is this interaction between the field and the matter, the material, the body, that it controls, not really the right word, oversees the creation of is probably more accurate, a better way of putting it. Now going back to other videos, other statements, it seems that, or rather when I use a field for healing with the batteries, I put within the field content. I give the field content by placing material near the batteries, like with minerals, vitamins and minerals. This gives the field the ability to use the content that's within the field. Yeah? So the field can use whatever's within it to create an effect. To create an effect. So it seems that the matter of the body, our material body, passes something into the field that the field can then use to oversee the organisation of the matter. So something comes from the matter into the field and then the field returns it back as organisation. It organises matter. I'm talking in very simple terms. There might be hundreds of things elsewhere that the fields do, but at the moment this I'm focused on because I'm trying to build up to where these serious illnesses come from. So we have a situation where the field could be seen as a blueprint for the body, how the body is made, created and remade. As the cells divide, there is a constant process of renewal. So this, as I say, is ongoing. So, the next question was, is the field damaged? Does the field become damaged so that it then produces a damaged body? A damaged field acts wrongly. It doesn't work correctly, and as a result it produces the harm in the body and the expression of the damage in itself. Does it produce what we call illness? The effect, the expression of the damage, are we calling that illness? So the body, the field is programmed, or it oversees the organisation of matter, and if it's damaged, that organisation is done wrongly, is harmed, and that harm we call illness. For instance, the nerve sheaths, the myelin nerve sheaths, are not formed properly, or the brain, holes open up in the brain, as in Parkinson's disease. No, I don't think that's the case. I don't think anything can damage the fields. I don't think so. No. The fields are impenetrable or immutable. They're beyond touching. They cannot be touched. They are not really, it's tricky this, but they don't feel like they're of this universe. They work within this universe, but they don't feel anything in this universe. It doesn't feel that anything within this universe can touch them or harm them. So the question of, are the fields damaged? I don't think so. So what does that leave? That leaves the content. That leaves the content. Is the content that comes from the matter that the field uses as a program or a blueprint to oversee the organisation of matter, is that the problem? And again, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't see how matter can be so harmed or damaged that it would cause that problem. And I also think the field would screen it out. It would screen out any harm or damage that's within the matter that it's using. So, through a process of elimination, what have we got? All that's left is something is injected into the field. Something harmful is injected into the field. And for some reason, even though this material that's in the field is harmful and damaging, the field still uses it. That sounds right. That, I think, that is it. That's where the harm comes from. Something damaging gets into the field that the field uses, and I don't know why. It keeps coming up insects. Every time I look at this, it's insects. Something insects are doing within the field. So that's probably going to be the subject for Healing Fields Part 3. This will be Part 2. And the interest with the fields keeps going on. Briefly, the 4 fields, it is my view, perhaps the fields combine and harmonise and blend and bring about one field that we refer to as mind. And is this a 5th field? Is this a separate field, another field? And has it got qualities and properties of its own, more than the sum of its parts? Within that field, or mind, is consciousness. Now, is consciousness a field? No, I don't think it is. I think it is another material aspect. It is something material that the field, as mind, works through. If that's the right way of putting it. Works through, oversees. There is some way that the field can make matter do what it wants, which isn't really a human thing. It's something humans, we don't understand, we control in a different way. But this is different. The other things that occurred to me was that the electromagnetic field was the background field for thought, because that is electromagnetic kind of electricity. So as far as I understand it, it's thought. And gravity was in the background for consciousness, because we talk about having the weight of consciousness, and when we feel guilty it's a heavy burden and all this consciousness stuff. There's a lot of weight implied, so I get the feeling that gravity is something to do with consciousness. Anyway, that's it. I've unburdened myself on this one. It's a way of organising thought and organising the view and getting it all out. And once it's out, then I can start looking at the next step. But I feel that I'm gradually closing in on something, and this closing in quite possibly might be step 4. Step 3, which I will go into possibly in another video on here, on my notebook channel, is healing the energy of the body, and the energy that connects the bone marrow in the forearms, which seems to be bone marrow headquarters, with the brain cells. Because it is part of the process of the bone marrow to flush out the brain cells of energy that is no longer required, decayed energy or stagnant energy, that's the word. It's part of the process of the bone marrow to flush out the brain cells. And it does this through a connection of energy, and that connection of energy is damaged, so this breaks down. There's a lot more to it. I'm going to have to look a lot more at this. Step 3 is brilliant, really is brilliant, but it's not. It's like all healing. It never goes where you think it's going to go. It always goes off at a completely different direction, and when you catch up and realise what's going on, it's like, wow, it just hits you right between the eyes. Anyway, enough from me on this one. Thank you very much for listening. If you've got this far and watching, you can write comments, you can read the blog, you can email, you can get in touch, we're on Facebook. Okay, I'll end it at that. Thank you very much. Cheers.